Welcome back to Big Content. My name is Nick Ercolano. I am joined by Jack Settleman, who runs Snapback Sports. I run bdge, and we're here to talk about content in big formats, hence big content. On the show sheet today, we're going to talk a little bit about just the overall picture of the creator economy, how it looks from a macro perspective, as Jack would put it, seems chill right now. Revolutionary versus the wheel. I'm assuming that means in terms of just like content innovation.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what that means. And then we had a quote that I came across that said, "Quitting the rat race has become the new rat race." And I thought that was really interesting because I think I see that often now, especially being around a lot of like creators at the younger level. And I think it's a really interesting take that we can dive into. And then lastly, TikTok. It was supposed to be banned 2 years ago. It was supposed to be banned a year ago. It was supposed to be banned 6 months ago. And now it's really, really getting banned, supposedly. So we'll talk through it in terms of maybe from a legal perspective, but more so from if you are building on that platform, maybe secondary plans you should have, or what to expect if something does, come of that. You like that intro?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay. I could keep it succinct like that from now on if you want.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
I'm dialed.
We're getting to set people up for the show, and then we can get right into it. So let's do just that. The creator economy seems chill right now. So Will asked us for the topics we wanted to talk about. And I was thinking about like all the different things that are happening. And it feels like when we get to 3, quitting the rat race, this will become another conversation. But feels like coming out of COVID, the work for yourself and be a creator, content creator, all that hype has died down. And now it's like weeded out, essentially. The tide is flushed out. All the wannabe creators, the people who thought they wanted to do this. Because of that, I also think at a macro level, like there's not really a creator to me who's like absolutely on fire, that's dominating the airwaves. I will give a special shout out, Kenny Beecham, King of the Fourth Quarter. He's a basketball creator. He did NBA. This is a really cool story. So he did NBA 2K rebuild. So he would take a team and build like, let's do an all-rookie team and try and get them to be 82-0. And then he would like rebuild the Lakers. And then he would do these really cool different rebuilds. So he started there. Then he started talking basketball more on like his own personal opinions. Then they signed with Omaha Productions, and his basketball podcast, which is with 3 of his buddies, they were on ESPN2 yesterday. They have a weekly or a Tuesday show now talking NBA, kind of like Pat McAfee, like super, super light. That's obviously like 10 years of his work, but I think coolest example of where content creators 10 years ago, all you could do was, do 2K videos, and now you're getting back onto television. So besides that, that's like the only real like super interesting thing to me. But do you feel the same way? Is there anyone that's piquing your interest?
No, I definitely feel a little bit of a flat line, like you said, but it also feels a lot like just what we've been doing for a long time. And I think this was a common theme of ours when we started Big Content, because we started maybe on like the tail end of like where the COVID, external piece kind of like started to move down, and it was on the tail of like maybe NFTs and all that stuff, where everything was like very, very hyped up, and it just felt like everything was moving at such an explosive rate, and the creator economy was kind of just thrown into that mix. And we had always said like, this is where things are going good, but then once this is done, like the next year or 2 years is going to weed out all of the middle creators who aren't like built to be long lasting. And it kind of goes back to the conversation that we were having last week. It's like, if you weren't built to make content for a long period of time, when you go through the ups and downs of like, oh, I'm not making money right now, or things are not flashy, or things are not fun, you'll never really outlast those bad times. So I think there's more often than not, when you are a creator, because you need to be so consistent with it on a day-to-day basis, you're usually living in a flat line. I think that high of like the COVID thing was so fucking peaky that like it kind of fucked everyone's mind up for a little bit. And I still think we're coming down from the fact that that was real for a little bit of time.
Yeah, we've also had like TikTok was COVID.
Yeah.
Then we talked a lot about Snap. That didn't apply to everyone necessarily, but like the big creators were pushing that a ton. Then you had YouTube Shorts, which came on the scene. There's not really a platform right now with like mega virality that's going to translate to money or even followers. Like, it is in the build stage.
Yeah, dude. I even think not just like platforms, but just crypto, I feel like, has an impact on this as well. I don't know directly how it impacts creatorship, but I think it impacts the way that people think about things, about how things move so fucking fast. How one day you could be down $10,000, the next day you're up 80 grand. It's like not real life. And I think that mindset starts to carry over into other like facets of life. So when one thing's up, it kind of feels like anything's accomplishable, and I'm going to start creating content around crypto or whatever the fuck it might be. And then you're down and you're like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I need to go back into realism. I need to get a 9-to-5 job. I need to do all that kind of shit. So I think there's a lot of kind of like parallels to the way that other lifestyle factors kind of like, ebb and flow with the creator economy.
And in the sports betting world, which we're in the sports gaming world, right? Like everyone was doing that.
I was going to say.
But with time, all the frauds and the fake touts and the sharps.
Right. And when the money's up, when like crypto's up and the economy's up, that also means more startups are being built, not even around like creators, but for like creator software. And it's like, hey, we're a creator agency. Hey, we'll build this out. We're the next Patreon or that. So we have a lot more of that, which inspires more creators, and like there's just a lot more payment going around. So I think as the economy's like ebbing and flowing and goes up, you'll just see a spike in creatorship naturally. And now when it's not really like that and there's money not just being handed out left and right, you see a natural decline in it.
Yeah. And I think we're in this steady period, right? When things are down tremendously, that's another time where I feel like creators want to create, or like these people want to create because they're like, well, my job, I'm barely making any money at my job. Like I want to get out. And now everyone's just like, all right, we kind of got a steady job. I've kind of like the economy is settled and everything's chill. So the people who don't really want to be these creators are not creators.
Do you like building in down times, up times? Do you have a preference? I honestly, to be honest, I feel like we've just been doing it for long enough that I don't see like a major impact either way.
Yeah. I mean, it is more fun to do it when things are on fire. Yeah. Like it's difficult because you can easily get distracted, but when viewership is 10 times higher, when the brand deals are 10 times higher, like when things are going well, it's easier to kind of do it. The advantage is we're going to work the same way, whether it's up or down. Yeah. So yes, I like it when we're all making more money and getting more views.
Dub.
But I am perfectly content right now. And we are in like our true build mode for the next 18 months, which I'm equally as excited about.
Yeah. And that's like you do that and as long as you're going to be able to get through, the 12, 18 months of it being maybe more downtime, it's like when things start to rise up again, you're going to be so high up. Like you're the cream of the crop now. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of fun looking at it that way when you think about it long term.
So it does kind of spin into number 2 very well, revolutionary versus the wheel, which will connect to number 3 as well. But I was thinking about this, right? So you guys are doing trivia, and then you're going to do your live trivia event. And there's a concept right now, I don't know if you've seen it on social. They do it with like runner creators are doing it, sports betting creators are doing it, gambling creators are doing it. There's probably a whole like other set of creators who are doing it, but the concept is for every X number of followers, I'm going to do X. So like the running creator might say, for every however many followers I have, I'm going to run that many feet. So if I have 100,000 followers, I'm running like 3.5 miles. And so you post that content, do the run, like maybe you're talking through it. And then the next day, it's like, I'm going to do it again. And it encourages people to kind of follow along for the journey. I've seen it work super well in sports betting where they're going, for every follower I have, I'm betting 10 cents on a game. Okay. So they'll bet. So he's got 60,000 followers. He's betting $6,000 on a game. He'll live sweat the game, post the result. And so you can see like psychologically why people enjoy the content, want to follow, to eventually see them lose a lot of money. Some people are supportive, but they just want to see it go up and up, right? So that is the first kind of like real trend and format that I think can be replicated in a positive way. Like you're going to attract the correct audience. It's going to be a really strong growth tactic. And so I was thinking about like how often as a creator do you think about these revolutionary content concepts versus just this wheel where it's like, all right, I want to optimize, improve my content. But with trivia, like that was, you guys weren't doing that. And then you kind of like created a large part of your business from it. Do we ever take enough time to like sit down and actually think through those things versus a trivia event, it's not necessarily revolutionizing your business. It's just an add-on to the original revolution, which was we should really be doing trivia-based content.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately most good things in life, like if you ask 99 or 100 people, like, what's the best thing that ever happened to you, or like what's the coolest thing you've ever done, the most of the time I feel like it comes out of randomness. Like most of the good things that happen come out of natural occurrences, right? Like, because you can't plan for virality, you can't plan for you could try,
but don't you think you could think through and actually build content concepts that
for sure
could become like super
and I think there are a lot of people that try to go down this hole of like, this is exactly what you're trying to look for. And I think there are very few people that are good at it. Like Mr. Beast has figured it out for YouTube. He understands that like these 5 concepts need to be in it. You need to have this as an opening, you need to have a middle, and then in between you need to be doing this, and this. Right. I think there are so few people that are good at it that most things that happen at like a large scale, most things that take on a life of their own, like trivia, happen naturally. Like that was just fun for us to do. Yeah. And like we had, Ike's Lunch, obviously that was super random, that ended up blowing up. We kind of parlayed what we learned from it in terms of like the couch setting and the camaraderie setting into trivia. And we just love doing that. So we were like, cool. Ended up taking a life of its own. So I think most of the things that we've had that are successful are not planned. We take bits of what was successful in previous ventures. And obviously we're trying to create new things and be innovative with it. We do look for trends, like kind of you were saying, for every 10 cents or whatever. Yeah. We'll do like for instance, we had a couple videos when we were in the old office where, I don't know if you saw any of the videos where like it'd be like a family getting together, right? And they'd put $100 bills down the table and they just ask a question, and whoever gets it right will take that one. Like we would do those, but in like NFL trivia style. Right. So it was like kind of taking the trend of that. I don't know how long lasting that is.
I'm saying, how often
can you be the one that creates the $100 trend? Yeah. I mean,
and you're saying randomness, and I'm wondering, should we be thinking more like we should try to be the trendsetters?
Well, I think it's almost it's like unboxing, like what are like
a trend?
What are the intangibles of that video per se that make it so addicting? Is it knowing the outcome? Is it you being able to guess along? You know what I mean? It is breaking down the boxes of it, and maybe that should be something that we're a little bit more conscious of. And I think that's probably something that in the creator economy, you need to be ahead of the curve with things, right? And it's very easy to get stuck in like what's successful now. And me and JMO talk about this pretty often with like trivia as a whole, just because naturally TikTok's harder to get views on, and it's harder to get a bigger audience on right now than it was a month ago, than it was 6 months ago, than it was a year ago, whatever the case may be. That is the story of every platform ever created. So it's like we sit down and we think, okay, if NFL trivia starts to get a little bit sticky, like where do we go? Do we try to expand to more just like general football conversations like Caps Off was, right? Where they were like fun, engaging, whatever. Do we start to do trivia in other sports? Do we step back and just do more like pop culture type stuff? So it's something that we think about. I don't know how often we think about going from like, all right, this is really successful for us, to like, let's try to get something fucking all the way out there. I think we always are like, branch, see what works there, and then branch kind of thing. Like we always try to follow, I think, a path from something that was successful, because there's those intangible things that were working in the first thing to begin with.
Yeah, I think we can break down what those are. And I'm wondering if we need to be doing more like brainstorming of like, all right, we know that in a great piece of content, you're doing these 5 things. You're creating intrigue for the viewer. You're creating camaraderie, relatability, right? Like all those. But yeah, I just think about like, we're going to do a college football series on the gaming channel. And like all our concepts are like just based off of formats that we know are successful on the platform. But very rarely are we ever thinking like, what's like a completely new concept that we could apply here that could be really interesting to people? And I think that is, if maybe you think about like building a startup and building a piece of content, they're not too different, right? Yeah. Like what's the market need for this? What are the things that make it successful in this niche? And it's just maybe a way for, if you are like that tiny creator who's like trying to get into fantasy football, it's not like replicating everything that you guys are doing, using the best formats, putting like your spin on it. It's probably going like completely in another direction. So
no, that's fair, because I think obviously to break through in a crowded space, you need to start. I guess when you have leverage like we do, it's much easier to just start to like make small pivots from something you have already proven to be successful. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure more time could be put into that. It's probably a fun like brainstorm conversation to have. I think anything where you're like, all right, let's take a step back and think about this from a completely new angle. Like, how can we rethink content? How can we rethink fantasy football strategy? How can we rethink like everything? That's like always a fun conversation, I think.
So number 3, quitting the rat race has become the new rat race. Entrepreneurship and risk aren't for everyone. This is perfect for those who prefer stability. The only people who have truly escaped this system are those who stopped comparing and started doing what's most suitable for them. In the intro, you only put the first part, but I actually think the next 3 sentences get pretty deep.
Yeah, I only really read the intro, and I was like, this feels like a topic I could ramble on for like 15 minutes right away. I didn't really get context behind like the way that the person was saying, because I didn't want to like I didn't want to dive into it, because then I felt like all of my thoughts were going to be based on what they were saying. And I was like, I just like that first sentence and feel like we can go hard at this, because you and I are around passionate younger creators like all day, every day pretty much, and they're all at different levels. Like some of them are successful, and we have like Will, producer behind here, is kind of in this mold a little bit, where it's like you're working so hard. Like the rat race for a long time was just being like, I got to get through the 9 to 5 kind of thing. And now it feels like so many people are trying to get out of it, that new rat race is like the idea of getting out of the rat race, you know? So it's like, it's a really interesting concept. And maybe it goes to the point of like self-awareness for some people, saying like, hey, maybe all it takes is like, rather than you being a full-time creator or an entrepreneur or whatever, you might just love life as like the number 4 guy at Snapback Sports. You know, I think there's like other paths that most people didn't really understand were viable, but as smaller and medium-sized businesses start to pop up like ourselves, and more of them become popular over like the decade, there'll be more opportunities that I think are more enjoyable and fit your lifestyle a little bit more. But I just thought it was like a really interesting concept, and I was like, this hit the nail on the fucking head.
Yeah, I mean, it's been trendy. Gary Vee made it trendy in like the 2010s for sure, where it was like, quit your job, work in whatever niche, you can make 70 grand doing whatever it might be. And I think that for the people that are so miserable in their jobs, you probably will be happier making 70 grand doing what you love than making 150 grand and actually dreading every single waking hour, right? But I think with the creator economy, what's become interesting is the creator economy isn't saying you can make 70K. It's saying you can make the 150. But the jump from the 70 to 150 comes with a lot of added bullshit that is not necessarily as exciting. And that's where entrepreneurship is really like, you kind of do have to want to be an entrepreneur. Like being a creator and an entrepreneur are not necessarily one and the same.
Yeah.
I think the best creators are probably also entrepreneurial if you want that like outsized outcome.
Sure.
But there's also like this word, and dead in the middle of the, I guess the quote or the whole series of the paragraph is stability. That's just like staring back at me. I am comfortable in this instability, but I know like 85% of my friends, family, people I talk to, like they actually just prefer the stable job.
It's
Even
also
though
like the older
joke,
you
like,
get in life, it's like the higher that risk is to leave, of course.
For sure. And I think there is this creator time stable crossover, which is like you build a big enough brand for yourself, you build enough leverage, and you can be used in content. Like content's not going anywhere. Content has existed since the start of time, just in different forms. So you can build yourself into that stability. I think of like the top beat reporters. So we went to like an Atlanta United game in Casey, and we were in the media room.
That's lacrosse, right?
That's soccer. And we're in the press conference, and like there's clearly this one guy who's like been, I mean, they've only existed for 5 years, but he's clearly been in media for a while. And like he's the guy. He's gonna ask the first question. He's comfortable asking the follow-up.
I got a side question for that. I've never been in the room with the media asking players like after games.
Yeah.
do they all, it feels like from an outside perspective, only watching on TV, do they all raise their hand and just start yelling their question at once and the guy's like, you're up?
So,
how does that work?
So I've only sat in, so there's press conferences where it's going to be one person. Then there's like media sessions, which could be like Final Four, Super Bowl. That is like you just raise your hand. It's whoever the player sees at the Super Bowl. At the press conference,
So if a player don't like you, you're just not getting called.
Yeah,
on.
he's not. But at a press conference, there'll normally be like the head of press who will know everyone in the room or be like, okay, they're up next. And then the weirdest one, this is our first time ever doing locker room, and they bring the press in like while the guys are like showering and just finishing up. So you literally have to like watch them get dressed. And then you can tell when they're going to be ready to do media, but you got to keep checking, like, have they put their underwear on?
That's weird.
It is a weird, very intrusive thing for reporters.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man.
But this guy at Atlanta United, he's clearly like the lead dog, I would say. I don't know if he works for the team or like for Bally's or Bally's, which is Atlanta based.
Bally's, that's crazy. Bally's for sure, yeah.
I was thinking about soccer balls. But Casey was like, not shitting on him, but it was just like, damn, like this is really his job. It's just like he watches all the Atlanta United games. He's the main press guy. Like there's no ceiling for him, right? But in the same vein, like, he has the most stable job that he's enjoying every single day. And so if you are looking for that stability, like...
But that's what I mean, though, is like, I almost feel like the 9 to 5 has been put on this pedestal in a negative way.
That's what I mean.
Where I'm like, I feel like it's our job to just make it aware to people that there are so many 9 to 5s that even I am like the most... I'm not like anti the man or like anti 9 to 5 per se, but like... I think there are a handful of 9 to 5s that I would even be like, okay, this kind of rocks. And I think a lot of them are out there for a lot of people that want to get out of their 9 to 5s, but just don't understand how many cool opportunities there are actually out there in the 9 to 5 world that like they would enjoy just as much or even more than being stressed out about being a full-time creator or having anxiety around it or like Will, like piecing together different parts of your life to just make it work, you know? No matter what path you go down, it's going to be stressful as shit. Like, I mean, you and me are probably overwhelmed, you know, every day with the decisions that we need to make. And people who are half in, half out are overwhelmed with like whether or not they want to go all in. People who have their 9 to 5s that they hate are stressed out because they fucking hate it. Like it's all good and bad. And you just kind of have to pick your poison, but understand that there are usually better options out there if you're willing to kind of open your eyes and reach out to people that you admire. And like you just hired Sean, your head of operations. Like, head of operations is a job that can be had at many, many companies, but I'm sure he's fucking enjoying the office environment here. And he's like, I love working for Snapback because like, it's a different type of company.
He's still helping me with our taxes, with compliance, with legal. But like, even the fact that it's in sports, like he's helping me buy tickets for our event, right? He's still doing like some of the shitty work of not being in the content, but even the fact that it's interacting in sports, and then you get the additional part. Yes, he's in a stable job. He is working in a field he loves, and he doesn't have to go start his own thing and ride through this crazy wave of whatever life could be.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I think about some even professional teams. Like, if you're a player on a really shitty team, it's like basketball's not fun. You're on a really good team, you're like, basketball's fun now. And that I feel like is similar to working. Like, not every job has to suck. Sure, there are going to be parameters that suck, but like, no, even if you're the most successful creator in the world, you have shit that you don't want to do every single day, and you'll have deadlines for some things, no matter how much of you're like the top person in the chain of things. Anyways, like there are always going to be constrictions everywhere, but there are many options out there that I think are real that just need to be made more aware of. So quitting the rat race does not need to be this like overwhelming thing. I think you just need to take smaller steps along the way to try to figure out what it is you actually want, because there are so many opportunities that would fit that bill. I think
it's all about self-awareness.
Yeah,
like
always.
You know whether you're, I don't even want to say built for it, if you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you can take the turn. Well, you're nodding your head a lot. Do you have certain thoughts on that?
I feel like we're dropping bars. That's why.
Yeah, well, it's like I'm just kind of going through this exact thing right now. Like, I just took on another client this week, but like I literally don't have more hours. I'm working like 70, 80 hours a week probably. So like I spent all week looking for potential editors to hire and people who have like kind of are on the career path that I was on 4 years ago, and basically trying to sell them on, come do what I'm doing now, which I was doing on the side of my 9 to 5, and then in 2 years you can do what I'm doing now, which is like mishmashing, doing big content today. I spent the first half of my day working on my Live podcast. I spent this morning from 7 to 9 a.m. before the Live podcast was even filmed working on my Golf Digest stuff. Like, then I spent an hour and a half interviewing people today. Then I took the subway here. Then when I go home, I'm going to do another 3 hours something else. Like, it's honestly fun. It's
I was about to say, if you told yourself that you were going to be doing that 5 years ago, you would have been like, that is fucking hype as shit. You know what I mean?
The second I got into sports production, because I really had no interest in production, I just wanted to be in sports, and I knew I could like kind of forge a career that way. It was like the long-term goal is open up some sort of production house, because I knew there was a space there that I could operate in that isn't being used. Like, I don't know people who do that. They're just all like, I knew all these startups want to make content, and like the 2 newest clients I've added are startups who just want to pay someone on a 3-month thing or whatever. So like, I'll either do it for 3 months and it'll be great for one of us or both of us, and I'll continue, and I worked in a renewal bonus to that, or I'll be like, this is not worth my time, even though it's good money, because it's not helping me go anywhere. It's just like giving me so much opportunity to do so many different things. Like, I mean, I work sort of for you, I work sort of for you, I work for both of you. Like, just taking different opportunities for different reasons, like not just the money, has been a lot of fun. And like, even though it's more stressful than I've ever had work before, at the end of each day, like, I enjoy my downtime way more.
Yeah.
You're also married with nothing to do. That's the dream. No, that is actually the new dream. The new dream is, it used to be like the 22 to 25, like go out in the city with your friends. And now it's like I'm just chilling on Saturday night.
Facts.
I literally had plans last 3 nights. Now I have no plans next 3 nights. I'm very excited.
Right. It's amazing.
Dope.
All right. Well, let's talk about the last thing here. TikTok ban.
TikTok ban
Scale
measured
of
by
1 to 10. If TikTok was banned tomorrow, how impactful would that be to your business? Scale of 1 to 10.
Scale of 1 to 10. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it would suck. It would be scale of 1 to 10. 5 out of 10, I would say. I would say it's not unnoticeable. Obviously, I think we've transitioned a good portion of our audience over to YouTube. Get a ton of consistent views and engagement over there. We make about almost like 2 to 3x money wise from YouTube AdSense than we do from like the TikTok platform. So overall, it would be the brand awareness that we would lose from TikTok, obviously. So it would be impactful for sure, because that's a platform that we could we got motion on when it's like we want to launch a campaign. We want something to happen. We want people to sign up for this or go do this.
Channel,
yeah, it's a huge marketing channel for us in terms of awareness. So it would be bad. I also think there's 2 different questions here. The TikTok ban. So I think the way that it's set up right now is that it was passed. It's going to be appealed, and I think there's a higher than 50% chance that it goes away after the appeal. Secondly,
not TikTok. The
ability to ban it in America, I think will go away after the appeal. If not, I still think it's set up where it has to be sold within 270 days. So I don't think anything actionable happens within about a year. If I had to say, for 99.9% of creators or consumers of TikTok, if you woke up in 271 days on that morning and something was different on TikTok, I'd be shocked. I don't think this will impact any creator or any consumer whatsoever. I think this feels like one of those talking points where it's like, okay, maybe they'll have to sell it. It's just going to be a new owner. It would be like you going to maybe a bad example because some people do change things, but you had a restaurant in your town or whatever that you liked, they swapped owners one day. Maybe they changed the recipe or something. That's why it was a bad example, because I think they do swap, but
I was gonna say, I feel like that can kill a restaurant.
Sure, there's just simply too much money, and I think too much awareness on the platform for it to be going anywhere.
If I had to bet, I would bet TikTok is not banned. The free speech stuff is just it would be insane to set that precedent. On the flip side, the fact that they've gone through this a multitude of times and it keeps getting the same momentum when it feels like it should have been killed off right now, to me speaks to the fact they really do think a Chinese company is influencing the way. And we know that TikTok can have legit influence over not just
that. I have no,
you literally just have motion in a sentence. Pre-TikTok, you would have never said
no doubt
that,
about it.
Right?
TikTok is probably the most culturally influential thing that's been in America in the last 3 years.
So I think that the fact that it has continued to get here is impactful. We onboarded our head of betting content yesterday, and he said, should we start building snapback bets on TikTok? And
Also, by the way, we got just a side note. We have a direct rep at TikTok now.
oh, nice.
So if you guys have anything you need to be
Did
taken
you
care
get
of.
checked?
He said he was going to send us over like an application or something, and we said we're not going to fill it out. But we could if we wanted to.
So in my head, it's not even a thought. Like, yes, go create content on TikTok. Maybe don't create your whole brand there, but I still would feel comfortable doing that. The one piece of advice would be, if you already are built there, start moving it somewhere else as kind of a hedge, and because you should be doing that once you've built it up on a platform.
Yeah, there's part of me that's low-key, that would low-key be excited that we would now, all the resources that we put into TikTok, we'd put pretty much all into YouTube, I think.
Right.
Long form, and I think our videos on there would be like really fucking good.
So
there's give or
the
take.
impact on our business would be like a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
And I don't want to say I'm rooting for TikTok to be banned.
There's
but
part of me that is.
That would be
Yeah.
positive for us. But I'm not rooting. Like, it doesn't hurt us by TikTok being a thing necessarily.
I try to separate, like, I don't like TikTok at all as a platform personally. So it's hard for me to separate it from business. Where there's a large part of me that's like, if TikTok went away tomorrow, I feel like I would feel better as a person for whatever reason. I try not to use it that much anymore, but I just don't. I don't think it's like, there's like very rarely ever healthy engagement or healthy comments or like anything productive going on that fucking platform.
Same could be said with Twitter nowadays.
I don't like Twitter either anymore.
Same could be
Used
said
to be
with
my favorite.
Instagram comments.
Yeah,
now.
social sucks, bro. Like social media sucks.
Right?
I think YouTube is like the only platform I still enjoy.
And I'm sure it'll probably have its day.
Yeah, it will.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I guess if TikTok was banned, we'd put our energy into YouTube for sure. I guess the other question would be like, all right, if you're a TikTok creator, where would you side between Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts? It has to be IG Reels.
I would just build on YouTube. I would view it as an opportunity to say, I can build really good content, right? And it doesn't have to be short form, and it doesn't have to be vertical. I can build good content. The last however many years you've been working on content, if you've built a successful TikTok following, you can now build that for YouTube.
But you already, let's say you were a newer creator and you were good at creating on TikTok. Like you got into a flow of
What
creating.
made you good?
You just understood how to make the short form vertical content that was engaging, as opposed, because that's a different skill set than like long form on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Just
Like, pick a piece of short form content that can't be long form.
no. I mean,
It just takes more
I'm just
time.
saying, like you already have the formula down to the point where I think you can pick up more motion quickly on those types of platforms.
But you don't even want that. YouTube
Maybe.
Shorts is the
No,
worst.
that's why YouTube
and
Shorts.
Instagram Reel
There's like
following
nothing
is
community based about YouTube Shorts
at all.
whatsoever.
And Instagram Reels is
Not
very,
really. You're
very
right.
like
You're right. It's almost like
like I'm
TikTok or kind of does feel like a little bit of a community. Like everyone knows when they see
yeah.
IG Reels. I never feel like I see the same creators ever. It's just like random shit all the
Yeah.
time. But TikTok, you're like, I know this guy. Everyone in the comments knows this guy. Like we're all in the same kind of thing
Yes,
together.
yes.
IG feels more closely related
I'm
to
thinking
that.
about
not really.
Casey, right? And his 3 things that happened in the Premier League or in Champions League. Like that has really worked for him because he knows the hook and he knows what to kind of pair with it, the caption and all that. But like that could be expanded to like 8, 10, 12 minutes. No problem. YouTube is every content's going to slow down. I really believe that. And so I think getting out of short form is a positive for people.
Short form. I wonder how like short form is going to be looked back on in 10 years. Like this entire era of just like fucking. You will not believe what like. Oh my.
Let me ask you this: if TikTok were to go away, do you think Instagram and YouTube Shorts change the length of video that's allowed to be posted there? Because 60 seconds is nothing.
nuts.
That's a good question, and
Literally, you can't put anything in a 60
it would be insane that they waited for that to happen. Like, do they not understand that if they just extended YouTube Shorts like their allowance, I would just put our fucking trivias on there.
Well,
all of my YouTube channels, like, it's such a bitch trying to take something from that's really should be a minute 42. Then it's like I gotta remake it. Minute
I don't
30.
think they want shorts. Like, because if they go to like what would you set the limit? 3?
I think 3 minutes.
Because once you get to 3, then you can start looking at like just very short, long form videos.
Yeah, but it's still only showing this way. They don't let you do thumbnails, which like is a huge, like you're not going to spend a ton of time on something where you can't even put a thumbnail on it.
I think they want this is my thought process. My belief is YouTube wants to be closer to TV, which we know because YouTube TV, than they want to be to the social. Right? We just said social sucks, so they want to be. So Sean was just telling me how he was showing his daughter our YouTube video, and she was like, "You know that guy," which is kind of like if I knew someone who
How
knew
old is his
someone.
daughter?
I don't know. 6 probably. It's not. I'm cool. Like she.
Oh, don't worry. That was never the thought.
Like she would never. She doesn't actually know who I am, but
Right.
because she was watching on a big screen, it instantly made it cool. And so I think that's where YouTube's going. They're trying to be television network. Like put YouTube on your television, watch it on your computer. I don't think they want to be mobile. You can obviously have access mobile, but I don't think they want that.
Funny
Why the
enough,
fuck did they-
I actually do think like by them making it 60 seconds, it actually makes the content that's on there more intentional than like just throwing something up there.
Exactly.
Like, my friend used to have TikTok and he got rid of it. And actually, he's the only person now I know who uses Shorts.
Yeah.
And like the more I've been thinking about it, it's like that's because he has horrible ADHD and he's actually getting like real content instead of just like every 3 seconds he keeps swiping because of TikTok. Like how many TikToks do you actually stay on and watch?
Yeah.
Because they're just like everyone just throwing everything out there because it can be whatever you want it to
Right.
be. Like it has no.
I just selfishly want it to be a longer upload time
Yeah, for
But
my
why?
personal, I
But
want it to
why?
be longer.
because
Why does that make it easier?
Because
Doesn't
you
make
don't
it
have
easier
to edit anything
because
more
we have
precise.
really successful long form vertical content that doesn't fit on any of those platforms.
Same.
On what But
Our trivias are like 7 minutes long. They don't
Yeah.
fit on YouTube or as vertical clips.
right, but they fit as long form. Isn't that what you want? Is the long form YouTube stuff?
I would like to put them on shorts too
Why?
because
Same content?
individual.
Well, also, he puts like 3 trivias into one long form YouTube versus he could do
Right.
each one on its own as a clip out as a YouTube short. Like I think that would be.
I
Successful.
I actually would more like to be able to do this on IG as reels because I think that has more explosive growth awareness to it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I was gonna ask why.
Because like we can't put them on
hasn't-
like reels. It,
Right,
it only
why?
shows up as like a video and won't get
Yeah.
us like organic
Yeah,
reach
yeah.
really. So they just sit at like whatever our follower base is.
Yeah, and you can't
Because it
part
needs to be
1,
90
part
seconds.
2, part 3.
Yeah, no, we're not doing
wouldn't
that.
work.
So like that's why. And even like Facebook Reels too, which is like a really good place for organic reach right now. Again, 90 seconds. So like if those were all expanded, we can put our best content on there. It's just low hanging fruit for us, but it's not there. So it's like
Yeah,
piss me off, man.
yeah. Okay.
I don't know, man. I do wonder what like the massive movement of culture, like what the effect would be on culture because TikTok is just so rabid right now. Like I just don't think people would be. I think IG Reels would see a huge spike. I don't think
Yeah.
YouTube Shorts really would. I don't know where else the eyeballs would go.
I think TikTok. I think honestly, TikTok culture and influence has died down though recently. Like I think it's back to Instagram. What's the last like mega thing you saw from TikTok that crossed onto a new platform? Like Sketch.
I don't know, but I think TikTok has become something like, for instance, if I'm looking for something to do in like New York now, I think TikTok would give me far better advice than other platforms.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like best
search,
happy hour in
yeah.
New York or whatever, like I'm gonna have to fucking go through all like the bullshit sponsor ones like this Great Bar in Midtown. I'm like, okay, this is not real kind of shit, and get to like the actual good stuff. But that's opposed to like going on Google and be like best happy hours. It's gonna show me like Yelp ratings. I'm like, fam.
We're literally planning our honeymoon via TikTok. Like,
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like you'll be able to
Entire
find
thing
it
is
has it all there in like 60 seconds, clips of what it looks
and
like.
it really like splits it for you between like budget, even budgetary. Like,
Budget.
it really does it well for you.
And you
It's
can
like,
kind of tell whether or not it'll be your vibe from the creator too. You're like, I like
100%.
this creator. He's like cool. Like I probably trust his
How
opinion. on
long
this.
are those videos typically? I feel like those
90
don't,
seconds maybe?
right?
60 seconds?
So that is where I could see YouTube Shorts.
Okay. So this is a good point because
right?
like the other
SEO
day,
tied even into Google.
I think the SEO, I think the how-to, and this is how I've always thought about YouTube is like the how-to version of YouTube is like so fucking strong.
It's
where
crazy.
And now I find myself like if I'm in the kitchen, I'm like how to wash a cast iron skillet or whatever. put that on YouTube, I'm like, I'm not watching the 8-minute version anymore.
Right,
I'm watching the 60-second YouTube short of it.
Yes.
So I think in terms of like teaching people and the how-to content, that's actually awesome for YouTube.
Well, type in the Google bar right now how to wash an apple.
Put it in your mouth and bite it.
Bold prediction, like you see all that blank space over there?
On the right?
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't that just be like 4 YouTube shorts?
Yeah, it's
or
just shorts,
right?
yeah. You
Of
just
like
scroll.
how to wash an apple, and it's the video version of it.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
All in.
I'm all in. Yeah, no, that's
Well, actually click videos. See, like,
that's so not native. Yeah, it's all awful.
right, but it is a short. It's literally a short. Is the
Yeah,
first
and
result.
if you Google it mobile, that's the first thing that pops
Right,
up. I
okay.
didn't have to click on videos.
Okay.
So like this is what I'm saying about like how I feel like if you could put a thumbnail here, even though you knew it was short, like I would
Yeah.
more likely click on it. Like this. just
wait,
looks
you
like,
know you can put a thumbnail on YouTube Shorts now.
You have to do it. You can upload it through. You've always been able to. If you upload it through your phone, you can go on desktop and put a thumbnail on it.
You can do it on your phone.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. You can definitely put
Will's
thumbnails
mind
on
is
them.
blown.
You have to have a certain amount of subs, maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Sheesh.
But the thing about YouTube.
So you learn things. Wait, I am curious. A vegetable brush and tap water. Not a
Wait.
fruits of. I mean, apple's a fruit, right?
You don't own a vegetable
See, this is what I'm saying. Like,
What's a vegetable brush?
to wash fruit. and
see, you need
vegetables.
I need a 45-second video. So like, rather than having to read what's a vegetable brush and then figure that out, it's just the person just has that within the first 3
I
seconds,
think
kind of thing.
use that white space, Google. Send me 10%.
All right, I think I'm all in on YouTube Shorts. I'm back. I'm fucking back in on short form.
Do we have an episode next week?
Yeah, I think the last one next week will be the last one.
The last one before I pick up
until June.
a gold band.
I mean, we could film right before your wedding,
Right, you'll be down there.
day of.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
I don't have much going on that morning.
The next morning.
All right, fam. Well, hit the like button and share with a friend who you think this could be helpful for. Macro, micro, short form, long form. And we'll see you next time on Big Content.
Hi.
Contentedable.